Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Jillian Epperly, straight out of Canton, Ohio, and I'm here to just give you an update, telling you everything is going to be okay. If you're on the J Juice, you have nothing to worry about. You just heal, seal, upgrade, and watch all of the craziness going on out there in the world. And that is the beauty of J Juice, is you are able to just sit back and relax and roll with the punches. Some of you are going through some financial hardships. Yeah, it's going to happen. Um, it's not going to be forever. Remember, some of you have farms and gardens. Some of you have access to the food banks. You have the ability to call your creditors if you don't make enough money because of all this unemployment stuff, and let them know that, hey, you're having a hard time. This is when I think I'm going to expect to get, unemployment stuff, whatever. I know it's difficult out there, but it's about survival. Know where your food banks are. Go build a garden. If you start seeing that the writing's on the wall, find alternative avenues to get yourself taken care of. Okay? So, first and foremost, get your needs met. Okay? Get your needs met. The activism, all the crazy crap that goes on in the world, will come second to your needs. So prioritize. And, this whole thing with the Jilly Juice and then all the posts that I was making about President Trump and then how the activists that are anti-American are coming from, like the big leaders are coming from Canada and coming from areas that are not in America. I think the one dude, Luke Radowski, he's We Are Change. He's, based out of here in America, okay. But for the most part, a lot of the big anti-government leaders are out of the people north of us. And I get it. Everybody has an opinion. I get it. But you have to realize there's a lot of psychological operations going, some that are good, and some are like, okay, it's inevitable. Look, with the J Juice, the people that don't do the J Juice are naturally not going to get the benefits of J Juice because they're simply not doing J Juice. Okay, so there is no psychological operation around that. If you're not doing J Juice, you're not going to get the benefit. Cut and dry. Where it becomes really kind of teetery and gray area, and why we have these controversies, is the vaccine movement and the anti-vaccine movement, of which, yes, I took part in a lot. And I then reversed my stance once I realized that the J Juice kind of acts like a vaccine in a way, but it actually has nutritional properties, not just an intermediary, because Jilly Juice is not a cure, but a vaccine is a type of cure. So, but it still is necessary. This is where you have to learn how to balance and integrate different things together. You pick and choose what you want to integrate. It's not like someone tells you should integrate this and then do it. No, there's so many different options to integrate the allopathic holistic world and the Jilly Juice world. However, the gray area with the vaccines are like, slamming people that are American citizens. Bill Gates is an American citizen. Donald Trump is an American citizen. Any one of my leaders is an American citizen. And so I don't expect anyone, on my Facebook to slam my countrymen. Now, I may not agree with everything they do on every single matter, but it's like when you look at the bigger picture, and we're dealing with this coronavirus. We're stuck at home, okay? We're in social quarantine, trying to get some kind of immunity to some aggressive virus in some way. We have very weak people. that are gonna, when they get exposed to it in a major way, like going to a crowd of people, that major viral upload could, do them some major harm. Because that's what people die from, is when you have so much of a viral upload or an antigen upload that your antibodies accumulate so much it destroys vital organs and vital tissues. And so that's why we're in quarantine. That's why everyone's hoping for a vaccine, and they're putting their faith in like the hydrochloro, whatever that is. They're putting their faith in anti-malarial drugs. They're putting their faith in anti-parasitics. And here's the thing, when you're taking anti-parasitics, antifungals, antimicrobials, anti-inflammatories, antibacterials, you're essentially weakening your microbiome. And if you don't have enough of the good cells at the micro level, yeah, you're going to trigger some kind of event that you're not going to survive from. Okay? And so it's like, at this point, with the vaccines and with the prescription drugs and the holistic remedies, it's like, it's that gray area in the vaccine. Yeah, it's that gray area of where are you going to survive? Can you survive the cures that are out there? And so this is where the Jilly Juice, the movement of Jilly Juice, I got an email from a Berkeley student, and kind of made me remember, just kind of, it had me remember the times in the 90s when I was hanging out in the East Bay. I was living in like Lafayette and Walnut Creek, basically the Beverly Hills of the East Bay in California. And I used to go hang out in Berkeley and go down, what is it? Oh God, I forget the name of that avenue. But it's a famous avenue in Berkeley. But anyways, I used to go up and down that street and just hang out, and go to the stores and all the shops. And she's like, I want to be part of your movement. And it's a life movement. It really is. Jilly Juice is a life movement. I mean, I guess I never really called it that, but Jilly Juice is a movement. And if somebody in Berkeley, in Berkeley, it has its history, yes. It has the left-wing communist history, yes. But if somebody, influential, whether it's a student at UC Berkeley or somebody in America that understands, revolution, evolution, and all that stuff, this could really take off, and it already has, sort of. But it's just, this came from America. I mean, the Jilly Juice was born from Barack Obama, which, yes, he's used the hope and change guy. So Jilly Juice was the hope, right? And the hope and change. And then it was perfected in the era of Trump. I started then putting a moratoriums on people just asking so many freaking questions. I started influencing people to be more independent. Stop asking so many questions. Read the files. Do this. This is something that you got to do on your own. There is no hand holding. And so the Jilly Juice got perfected during the Trump years. So it's like, there's a reasoning behind it. So I don't want anybody foreign bashing my president. And so when I made that distinction, I noticed that, like Jason Christoph from Canada, I noticed that, yeah, I mean, even Sasha Dagame, he introduced me to the Infinite Man Summit guys. Okay. They had a role, they had a place in all of this. I got to experience the real anti-government people that also influenced in the holistics world and all of that. And I gotta say that they're not doing the J juice. They're too busy being anti-government, being anti-this, not understanding there's a place for everything. They're too busy sucked into the conspiracy stuff that could be a total psychological operation from the Kremlin. But that's a lot of how wars are waged. They're not always on the front lines in a field going hand-to-hand combat. A lot of it's psychological operations. And, it's so funny that it's ironic, I guess, or maybe not ironic, but maybe it's just very fitting that, I was raised by a psychologist, psychotherapist, not psychologist, psychotherapist with a law degree. My dad was in biotech. So I got to, to learn firsthand psychological manipulation. Okay? But I use it for good, not for evil. I mean, you see the way in which I deal with people. That's the way my mom handled me too, and my sister. Okay? So, I got some major training from my own mother on how to make people move, whatever direction. Doesn't matter if it's love me or hate me. But whatever I say makes people either love me or hate me. They get so pissed off that they have to, make a comment, or they get so, or I disable the comments for them, and then they go have to write me an email going like, oh, I'm going to meet you at the border. Let us know when you're going to Canada because I'll meet you at the border. I'm like, is that a veiled threat? But hey, I'm used to it. I mean, look at Bill Gates. He gets pies thrown at him, okay? And so, yeah, so there's a lot of irony in all of this, whether it's the anti-government world, the conspiracy world, and the whole coronavirus. I mean, it just hit me a couple of days ago that, Bill Gates does not have a degree. He dropped out of Harvard after 2 years and went and developed Microsoft, and then now is the leading guy in the vaccine campaigns, trying to help the world. And then I have people on my Facebook who are just like, I can't believe you're defending Bill Gates. And I'm like, well, why wouldn't I? There is a place, though, it's very hard. The vaccines are a gray area. If you have what it takes to handle a vaccine and the virus in the environment, you'll survive anything. It won't matter. But if you don't have what it takes to survive the environment as well as a vaccine, you're dead anyways. That's the gray area that people don't understand. And that's, and so so when you're dealing with very gray areas, you're always going to find evidence to support both sides. So you essentially play both sides of the fence. And that's my whole premise about activism, politics, and religion. Those are major gray areas because they're not absolutes. What Jilly Juice deals with is the absolutes in life and death. There's a formula to life, and then there's a formula to death. And that formula to death could be a very long transition of which people will call life, which is basically right now our society. The formula to death is how long can you prolong your life before you pass away? Okay, so now with the Jilly Juice world and the Jilly Juice protocol, we're saying, okay, we're now going to transition from the formula to death and transition to a life trajectory, where the specific measurable result is that you see your aging process reverse. Not just, reverse your cancer, disease, and chronic illness, but see your aging process reverse, and then also understand there's a place for everything and everybody. Now you can pick and choose who you want to take part in and what you want to take part in. But everything has a place, and there's a reason why Trump exists. There's a reason, and he has a place. There's a reason why Kissinger exists and has a place. There's a reason why the Clintons exist and have a place. There's a reason why everybody exists and have a place. Some are just letting you know that we have major imbalances in this world, and you better get on the J juice so you don't reproduce really imbalanced adults. Because at some point, yeah, and just so you know, I did get my period. I was hoping I wasn't, but I guess the environment is still too aggressive for my body to feel comfortable enough to not drop seeds. So, okay, fine. But yeah, I mean, the whole point of the J Juice is to finally say, okay, are you going to be the best copy? Are you going to balance out your body, mind, and spirit? And are you going to recognize that vaccines have a place, pharmaceuticals do have a place too, though I don't advocate them on a long-term basis, but some people are still transitioning from the death process to the life process, and they can't get off their prescription drugs. They can't get off their alcohol and all of their addictions. And so they do the J Juice, in conjunction with, and then eventually intention is to never have to turn to those types of hormonal influencers, okay? Because that's essentially what all this stuff is, these drugs and alcohol and sex and all of that is they influence your hormones because it's kind of like a painkiller. It's a natural painkiller and I find that when I was going through my healing process and upgrade through this coronavirus, that my adrenaline, when I get like angry and I get upset or something, it's like a natural painkiller. Like I had like a tiny headache a couple days ago and I got all mad at someone reacting to something on Facebook, and then all of a sudden after my little histrionic, the adrenaline just killed off the pain. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, so sometimes just, even being a little bit mad can be a painkiller, but don't get mad all the time because then that will cause destruction. So it is all about balance. But the whole thing with the Jilly Juice, it supports the just all the natural processes of your body, and you have to understand that sometimes you have to deal and face the pain, the upgrade, and eventually it won't be there anymore. You won't ever have to deal with it again. So, Jilly Juice is not just for the body. It's not just a cure. It's not even a cure. It's not just, reversing the aging process, but it really has you look at the world, the bigger picture. It's not very compartmentalized. Jilly Juice is not compartmentalization. It's not a cure. It's not just about the salt. It's not just about the water. It's not just about the probiotics. It's not about the micro and macronutrition. It's not about just the cabbage and kale. It's a whole chemical process and how it fits into the bigger picture. And then you understand your microbiome, which are viruses, parasites, protozoa, proteins, bacteria, and fungus. Then you understand your biochemistry, which is fatty acids, amino acids, prohormones, and minerals. And they all have to be balanced out correctly. And if they're not, then you create antibodies. And if you have too many antibodies, that's when people get diagnoses and then die from events like heart attacks, strokes, and aneurysms, as well as pneumonia if you have Parkinson's. Okay, so it's understanding how all of that works in the bigger picture and where Jilly Juice fits in with that. And then, then you get to relax. You don't have to be on a soapbox fearing chemtrails or fearing 5G or fearing a vaccine. Because let me tell you, if it ever becomes mandatory, I would do it. I would do it in a freaking second. Okay, but if it's optional, then fine. But here's the thing, at this point, we have so many people passing away right now, and there is no vaccine. They may still make it optional, and the people that are so against Jilly Juice and against vaccines, and they don't have what it takes to handle the aggressive environment, you know what? Natural selection. That's what the beauty of it is, that you don't have to force to do anything, really. Because Mother Nature will take out those that don't do anything to support their body at the most aggressive micro level. And so I don't think it's going to be ever mandatory. I think that they're still going to say, okay, look, your friends are dying. Your mom and dad or potentially could die if they get exposed. You got to help your population create a herd immunity. So if you have 100 people and maybe only 50 or 75 get a vaccine, that's enough of a wall to help somebody get slowly acclimated to the vaccine, because the vaccine does shed and you'll get a lesser version in your environment versus a very aggressive version. Okay, but you can't stop or won't know if you're unvaccinated or have not been immunized in some way just by exposure, and you get around someone who really has it bad, that you would pass away from your exposure to that person who is really aggressively communicable. Because you could have two people, and one could be very, very aggressively communicable with a very, very severe strain. Another person have a minor strain of it because it has mutated, just so you know. And if you're exposed to the guy that has the most communicable strain, you don't stand a chance if you don't have what it takes. So that's why we have this quarantine, so people can slowly be immunized and slowly be exposed. And then of those that couldn't handle even the slow exposure, at least they have access to a ventilator if they're available. Okay? And that is the technique of the CDC. That is the technique of the medical community, which I think is very strategic, because there is no vaccine. So the only way is to stop people from hanging out together, because that's how it spreads. Okay? So, aside from all that, now we have the Jilly Juice, the third option. Okay? And so, no matter what happens, you'll be exposed to whatever, and you'll go through the upgrade smoothly. Yeah, you might be uncomfortable, but you also, if you're just starting the Jilly Juice, you're going to feel, all of your predispositions, and you'll have to deal with that. So, yeah, I don't bash Bill Gates. Let me tell you, my book that's out right now that I haven't discontinued, I'm an anti-vaxxer in that book, just so you know. I've taken the anti-vax stance, so I know the arguments. If you know all of the arguments, then you don't take a side. Then you figure out, well, this person really needs to take the vaccine because they're not going to do Jilly Juice and they're really unhealthy, so they can't afford not to. And then you don't tell people what they should do or not do. You just merely suggest, hey, here's another option. It can be in conjunction of, it can be in lieu of, but no matter what, if you're under a doctor's care, you can let them know what you're doing. And if they say, oh, you got to be on a low sodium diet, and you don't make your own decisions because you want to follow your doctor, then that is the path you take. And you can't blame anyone but yourself. and that's the beauty of J juice. So that's why there's no diet. And like, how did you figure that, Jillian? Because the mucus is the indicators. See, don't let Dr. Sebi say that, oh yeah, the reason why for cancer disease and chronic illness is because of bad food, and bad food creates mucus, and mucus destroys bodies. That is the very simplistic viewpoint from the Dr. Sebi crowd, where they demonize food. And then they say that when you get bad food, processed food that's all acidic, that it creates mucus, which, yeah, if you have an imbalance in your fatty acid, amino acid, prohormones, and minerals, yeah, if you don't have a balanced microbiome, a balanced biochemistry, antibodies or mucus is going to come up. Maybe you're missing some freaking Jilly Juice that will help release the excess, absorb what you need. So that way you could eat whatever in the food supply and you don't demonize and say, oh, that's too acidic or that's too alkaline. I mean, you got to have a nice neutral balance, and it's always going to fluctuate. So if you're always testing yourself to see how alkaline or how acidic you are, it's totally asinine because it's going to vary day by day. I always balance out my alkaline acidity and my microbiome and my biochemistry with my juice. I'm already basically healed and sealed. So I could eat whatever in the food supply, derive benefit without any adverse reactions. And if my body says, hey, that's too much of the minerals or too much of this, it then produces mucus. So then I know, okay, well, the mucus is being produced. It means my body says, okay, that's enough minerals, Jillian, you need to lay off, add some of this. And then maybe like, you eat a salty thing and you're like, oh, I'm thirsty. Oh, I want something sweet. So even with this coronavirus and my stupid period that the hormones fluctuating, I was sucking down cans of Coke. I've never bought Coca-Cola ever since this last month. Like, I went through a case of Coca-Cola with the help of my husband in like a week, trying to balance myself out with this coronavirus. I'm doing the J juice. But I noticed when my dog was trying to balance herself out, she was really hypoglycemic. So that's why I created the emergency recipe of the Jilly Juice, because with the added maple syrup or added, blueberry syrup, if you want, for those that are hypoglycemic or for those that are severely underweight and can't eat a lot of food. Okay, and so sugar has been demonized, salt has been demonized, but you need sugar, you need salt, and don't even tell me, oh yeah, you need natural sugar, oh, not processed sugar, because I'm not playing those games either. The holistic allopathic world have demonized the types of foods and foods in general, and they've backed people in a corner where now they can only make two choices: get chemotherapy or wait for the cancer to basically destroy you, because they can't afford to lower their immune system with the chemotherapy. So now they have to be at the behest of the cancer. That's what the holistic allopathic world has basically done. They've backed people into a corner where they can't eat certain foods. They can't even get the cures out there, the life-saving treatments, because there's an aggressive virus in the environment. So now we have to reevaluate how you're going to deal with your aggressive diseases. And that's what is so difficult now, because people are backed into a corner. But at least you have an option. But now you got to feel to heal, and you have to seal, and you have to upgrade, and you can't anesthetize yourself. There's no playing zombie with this, okay? Because it's life or death. There are two absolutes in this world, life or death. So, this is like, I feel so vindicated in a lot of ways. I feel so vindicated. I feel very, very comfortable with where I'm at with this Jilly Juice world. I'm not beholden by the almighty dollar. I'm not beholden to kiss anybody's ass that doesn't like the J Juice. I'm not held by the same standards as those that are, that run golf companies in Canada. Okay, I'm not beholden by those type of customers. I'm not beholden by someone selling a product on TV that you have to keep an exemplary record or background, and you can't say this and you can't say that, and you have to be politically correct because you might offend somebody. Because let me tell you, no matter what you believe, no matter what your background is, life will always be something that people will back. if they understand the science behind life. So it doesn't matter my politics. It doesn't matter if I come off like a bitch, because I'm going to tell you, I do. It doesn't matter if I point out the obvious, that the people who take on the anti-government stances, the leaders in the anti-government world, anti-vax world, all of that, a lot of them are in Canada, or they're a Democrat, like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Okay? So, I'm not afraid to say anything that I see that as a truth. Because either you're going to do my juice or not. And let me tell you, here's the thing too. You don't even have to buy the book. You can just do the juice. But if you are so stopped by my politics, and you're so offended by my politics, you won't even look at my information. So that's Mother Nature already weeding out that those don't even have an open mind. Those that are smart will hate my politics, hate me, and still do the juice, and get benefit, and still do whatever they do. Those are the smart people. The other smart people are people that are doing the juice. Hey, they buy my book, great, I appreciate the support. And also be a light to those that are around them. Help them understand the benefits of J-Juice. Those are the smart people. The ones that are not smart are the ones that don't do the juice at all and are offended by my politics. Those are the non-smart people. So I applaud anyone that does the juice, regardless if you support me financially once my book is out, because it will change the world. And no matter what, with all that's going on, right now, nobody is working. Maybe a few. The essential people are working, okay? But by the time we get out of this, people are going to be reevaluating what they're going to be doing for the rest of their life, or even now. So we're in this perfect rebirth to start figuring out how am I going to support myself and do what I love in this society. So right now we're all kind of at the drawing board, okay? So it's like we're all kind of living off the government right now in some way, shape, or form, or maybe some of us are lucky enough to work. But no matter what, we're all at the drawing board. And now this is a great time to design your future, to design your current reality. And I'll tell you, the timing of this is just freaking amazing. The timing of this is so amazing. So count your lucky stars that you're on my Facebook. Count your lucky stars that you have access to this information. Count your lucky stars that there's still stores open that will sell you salt, the white table salt, the white iodized salt. Count your lucky stars that you can grow your own cabbage if you want to, or have access to it. Count your lucky stars you live in a great place that has infrastructure so you can do this Jilly Juice and share your experiences on social media. Okay? Be very, very thankful, no matter what's going on around there. But be resourceful. Don't be afraid of the changes that are going on, because if you do the J-Juice, there's going to be tremendous changes biochemically. No different than the changes out there financially and in your community and in the government. Right now, this is just probably the best time to live, okay? And if you do the J-Juice, it's going to help you transition and deal with these crazy changes and the unknown. Because right now, people are like, I'm not getting my unemployment, I'm not doing this, I'm not. But let me tell you, find out where all of the food banks are, because they can't evict you. Some telephone services have extended the credit, find out the different plans, as far as your telephone, telecommunication, internet, all of that. Okay, and file for unemployment. If it has to be at 3 a.m, do it at 3 a.m. The government stimulus checks are going to come through at some point for those that qualify. Not everybody qualifies for those government stimulus checks. Okay, but start really looking at making sure that your priorities are met, that your needs are met, and then give yourself a good environment to do the J-Juice. It's still going to be an unknown. Let me tell you, there's going to be a lot of unknowns, but at least the J-Juice won't ramp up your anxiety. It might a little bit, because you're going through a healing process. So things do get worse before they get better, and that's no different than anything. Things get worse before they get better. But you'll be able to handle it, and you'll know that it's only temporary. Everything is only temporary. Just got to get through it. Okay? So that's all I'm going to say. My husband's home today, and I'm thankful for him. I'm thankful he's in a job that is still needed. He's a trucker. And I didn't, how could you even forecast something like this? I mean, I'm looking at right now California in Riverside, where they charge people, or they fine people $1,000 for not wearing a mask outside. It's in California. I left California back in 2010. Maybe came back for a minute in like 2000, maybe 11. Yeah. And then never came back, never went back. I'll go back and visit California, but I will never live there again. So, yeah. So I'm happy here in Ohio. And you guys just relax, make the juice. It's not difficult. Follow the directions. And I do have instructions on what you need to do to get into my group, because I really want only serious people in my group. And that's all I got. All right. So have a good day, you guys. Take care. Bye.